This is remembered as one of the most horrific crimes in Japan's history. In 1988, 18-year-old Junko Furuta, an ordinary high school girl with a bright future, was abducted by 4 boys her own age. For 44 days, she was held captive and subjected to unimaginable cruelty. Her story is a tragedy that shocked the nation, and it remains a chilling reminder of how darkness can hide in plain sight. Junko Furuta lived a quiet, ordinary life. She was polite, hardworking, and focused on school, avoiding the habits that often got other teenagers into trouble. But one encounter would seal her fate. When she rejected the advances of 18-year-old Hiroshi Miyano, a local delinquent known for his violent reputation and ties to the Yakuza, he took it as a personal insult. Humiliated, he vowed to take revenge. On November 25, 1988, as Junko was cycling home from her part-time job, he and his friends put their plan into action. It was that night her life was stolen from her. On the evening of 25 November 1988, Miyano and Minato rode around Misato on their motorcycles with the intention of robbing and raping local women, and spotted Furuta, who was on her way home from her part-time job. Acting on Miyano's orders, Minato kicked Furuta off her bicycle and fled the scene. Miyano, under the pretense of witnessing the attack by coincidence, approached Furuta and offered to walk her home. After further gaining her trust, Miyano walked Furuta to a nearby warehouse and threatened her, telling her that he was a Yakuza member and that he would spare her only if she followed his orders. That night, Miyano took Furuta by taxi to a hotel in Adachi, where he raped her. He later called Minato's house and bragged to Ogura about the rape, after which Ogura told him not to let Furuta leave. In the early morning hours of 26th of November, Miyano took Furuta to a park near the hotel, where Ogura, Minato, and Watanabe were waiting. They told her they knew where she lived and that the Yakuza would kill her family if she attempted to escape. Minato agreed to allow Furuta to be confined in a room on the second floor of his house in Adachi for the purpose of gang raping her. Furuta was held captive a total of 40 days. On 27th of November, Furuta's parents contacted the police about her disappearance. To discourage further investigation, the kidnappers forced Furuta to call her mother 3 times to convince her that she had run away but was safe and staying with friends. When Minato's parents were present at the house where she was being confined, Furuta was forced to act as his girlfriend. The group dropped this pretense when it became clear that Minato's parents would not report them to the police. The parents later claimed that they did not intervene because they were afraid of their son, who had been increasingly violent toward them. On the night of 28 November, Miyano and the others, along with Nakamura and Ihara, gang-raped Furuta, after which Miyano shaved her pubic hair with a razor and used a match to burn her genital area. In early December, as punishment for an escape attempt, the group repeatedly punched Furuta in the face, and Miyano burned her ankles with a lighter. They forced Furuta to dance to music while naked masturbate in front of them, and stand on the balcony in the middle of the night with little clothing, and inserted objects into her vagina and anus, including a metal rod and a bottle. They also forced her to drink large amounts of alcohol, milk, and water, smoke 2 cigarettes at once, and inhale paint thinner fumes. In one attack in the middle of the month, Furuta was beaten by the group on the pretext that Miyano had stepped on a puddle of her urine, after which he burned her thighs and hands several times with lighter fluid. From around this time, Furuta, unable to bear the repeated assaults, would sometimes plead to be killed by her captors. Throughout the rest of December, the severity of Furuta's abuse continued to escalate, and by the end of the month, she was severely malnourished after being fed only small amounts of food and eventually only milk. Due to her injuries, she had become unable to walk to the downstairs toilet and was confined to the room's floor in a state of extreme weakness. Her appearance had been disfigured by the beatings, with her face becoming swollen to the point of unrecognizability, and her wounds had started to emit a foul odor. On 4th of January 1989, after losing money in a game of mahjong the night before, Miyano decided to take his anger out on Furuta. He ignited a candle and dripped hot wax on her face, placed 2 shortened candles on her eyelids, and forced her to drink her own urine. Furuta was lifted and kicked, fell onto a stereo unit, and began a fit of convulsions. To prevent them from being stained with blood, the group covered their hands in plastic bags before beating her with their fists and an iron exercise ball and dropped the ball on her abdomen several times. Miyano poured lighter fluid on Furuta and set her on fire. She made weak attempts to put herself out, but soon stopped moving. The assault lasted for about 2 hours, after which Furuta died at 10 a.m. Less than 24 hours after her death, Minato's brother called to tell him that Furuta appeared to be dead. Afraid that their crime would be discovered, the group wrapped Furuta's body in a blanket and placed it in a large travel bag, then put the bag in a metal drum and filled it with wet concrete. At around 8:00 p.m. on 5th of January, the group drove to a vacant lot near a construction site on the island of Wakasu in Koto, Tokyo, and dumped the drum there. In early 1989, Miyano and Ogura were arrested for kidnapping and gang raping the 19-year-old woman in December 1988. When police interrogated Miyano, he wrongly believed that Ogura had already confessed to Furuta's murder and that the police were aware of this, so he told them where to find her body. The police were initially puzzled by his confession, as they were questioning him about a different gang rape. The drum containing Furuta's body was recovered on 29th of March, and she was identified via fingerprints. Minato, Watanabe, Minato's brother, Nakamura, and Ihara were also arrested. After Junko's body was discovered and the 4 main perpetrators were arrested, the case quickly shocked Japan. Because they were legally juveniles, all under the age of 20, the court sealed their identities. But the crime was so brutal that journalists from Shukan Bunshun published their names and photos, arguing that boys capable of such cruelty did not deserve the right to anonymity. In July 1990, all 4 were convicted of abduction, confinement, sexual assault, and murder. Each received prison sentences, but none faced life imprisonment or the death penalty. Public outrage was immediate. The punishment, many felt, was far too lenient for the suffering inflicted on Junko Furuta. Hiroshi Miyano, the ringleader, was given 17 years, later increased to 20 on appeal, the longest possible sentence short of life. His parents sold their home and paid Junko's family 50 million yen in compensation. After his release in 2009, Miyano changed his name to Yokoyama, but reports of fraud and ties to organized crime continued to follow him. Joe Ogura, later known as Joe Kamisaku, received 5 to 10 years. After prison, his life descended back into violence. In 2004, he was jailed again for kidnapping and assault. In later years, he lived off welfare until 2022. When he died at the age of 51 in what was reported as a tragic accident. Shinji Minato, sentenced to 5 to 9 years, was released in the late 1990s. But in 2018, he was arrested once more, this time for attempted murder during a parking dispute. His troubled path never truly ended. Yasushi Watanabe, the youngest of the 4, served 5 to 7 years. After his release in 1996, he lived quietly with his mother in Tokyo. Years later, he developed a severe neurological illness, and he died in 2021, aged 49. 2 other young men who had participated in the assaults but not in the murder itself were also convicted, though both were released by the year 2000. For years, courts, prosecutors, and police were inundated with letters and phone calls demanding harsher punishment. Many in Japan felt the legal system had failed Junko Furuta, shielding her killers with the protections of juvenile law. Legal experts defended the rulings, pointing to precedent, but the anger never faded. Junko's funeral was held on April 2, 1989. At the ceremony, one of her classmates read a letter written by friends, promising they would never let her death be in vain. Her intended employer gave her parents the uniform she would have worn, which was placed in her casket. Later, at graduation, the school principal handed her parents her diploma, ensuring Junko graduated alongside her classmates. She was only 18. This was the story of Junko Furuta. Thank you for watching and for remembering her with us.